I got a fabulous question in the Nest, which is my Facebook group devoted to all things nesting and welcoming your future self into your present home. And she said, you mentioned not wanting to get rid of anything for fear of living under a bridge. That's my inner bag lady. Whenever I'm in financial woes, my inner bag lady comes in and goes, you're going to be living under a bridge. She said, can you speak more to that? I'm feeling a lot of resistance to getting rid of stuff and decluttering with stuff that no longer brings me joy, but maybe I shouldn't have bought. Maybe that's due to a scarcity mindset. I'm going to go backwards through her question, because a scarcity mindset is often, how do I put this? A scarcity mindset is something that your previous self might have taken on as a survival mechanism, right? And so from my work, we never ever shame our previous selves. So if you bought something or too much of something, or you bought something that you really don't understand why you bought it now, your previous self thought it was a very good idea at the time. It gave your previous self what they needed at the time, because buying is often an emotional thing. There is something there that version of you needed to know or to feel, and buying that thing gave it to them, right? And it can be as light and frivolously expensive as my old habit of buying craft supplies that kind of that fed my illusion that I was doing crafts, but actually all I did was storing the craft supplies. I actually never used them. I was simply a buyer of craft supplies. And when I realized that I had neither the time nor actually the inclination to do the crafting things, it was easier to let go of the crafting supplies. And dear God, there was a lot of money in there. So I get it. And what I know is keeping stuff in your space that makes you wince, that makes you go in any way, is hella expensive on all kinds of levels. So firstly, that little wince is a pinprick it's an energy leak. If you can imagine your energy every day is like a bag of water that they carry a goldfish in, and you stab it with a pin, and every time you wince, that little stabby makes a hole, and suddenly you are leaking energy all over the place, and you can't understand why you're frustrated and resentful, and you just want to torch everything. And then the other way it's hella expensive is because you are actually paying to store that thing. We don't all live in sort of lavish, vast amounts of square space. And even if we did, it would still be the same thing. Unless you live in Mary Poppins's carpet bag or in a TARDIS, you're paying for a finite, a finite amount of space. What you put into that space, you are paying to store. Therefore, do you want to keep storing that thing? Do you want to keep paying for the space it's taking up? Right? So this is the thought that you can look at. You're not shaming your previous self for bringing that thing in the first place. But who you are now is not in love with it, is not feeling like it's alluring, like it's pulling you into your future. In fact, it may feel more like it's anchoring you in your past. So you have a look at it from who you are now and who you're becoming, who you're emerging as, and then you basically just decide which expense you're willing to tolerate. Are you willing to tolerate the expense of the energy, or are you willing to tolerate the expense of the storage of your space, in your space, right? And so, hold on, I have notes. And remember also that you are not who you were. So if you had a scarcity mindset, may I invite you to simply step into a version of you that doesn't? Because you can spend a lot of time working on your thoughts, yes, but you can also spend just as much time and just as much energy with, probably in my experience, far more delicious results by simply stepping into the version of you that doesn't think like that. Happy nesting. Another thing I want to say about scarcity mindset is that it is an indication of lack of trust. You can trust your resourcefulness. Even if you can't trust your resources, trust your resourcefulness. Because even if you don't have that thing, you can replace it. You can trust that you will find something that will fill that gap, if that's what you want. And often your future self is saying, let go of that thing so I can fill your hands with what you want. Enjoy. And isn't that far more fun?